Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we are talking about why the horse update is the best update yet. That's right, this is out on testing or staging branch, and this will be hitting main branch Rust Console Edition in August 31st, 2023. That's right, it's happening at the end of this month. Again, we are talking about that Rust Console Edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, next generations, and everything in between, and I'm Jade Monkey. Okay, so there's a lot of things that make this update the best yet. First and foremost is the stability that they've ushered in and the audio bug fix. I just want to make sure I touch base on that first, because that is no small feat whatsoever. We did giant playtests. Basically, the audio crashing that occurred when you would dismount a vehicle, and it also happened with the horses, has been fixed as far as we can tell. Maybe some minor tweaks and fixes to that along the way, but as far as like the major crashes and the echoing, it seems to be completely cleared up, which is huge. That means water is more of a viable option. That means farming the water is more of a viable option, really opening things up. And the most obvious thing that's going to make this the best update ever is our first ground transportation, which are clearly horses. You saw me ride in on that bad boy. Yeah, fantastic. It also added some more monuments. It added the barn and the ranch, and those are new safe zones that we can now queue up and actually launch NPC mission givers from those areas as well. So yeah, lots of major changes. So if you're a small group or even a solo, this is huge news. And speaking of solos or small groups, they most recently added the farmable road signs. That's right. These can now be knocked down with melees, and even in the outpost or any safe zone, you can knock it with a excuse me, with a rock and with a paddle. I was gonna say water pipe. I mean, I guess you could, but then you would definitely get the penalty. So yeah, here we go. So we, just to kind of go through some of these patch notes here, and we have some things underlined to kind of highlight some of these major changes and what it's going to do for us. I really think this is the most robust update we've had so far. Not to say that other updates weren't more complicated. I know electricity and farming was definitely complex, the electricity being a big one, but this is definitely like huge changes for us across the board. Okay, so farm mobile signs, then we had added interact option to lead the horses while already on horseback, which is a really nice feature when you've, because they don't exactly go backwards very well. So change the behavior of horses. These are all kind of movement horse things here. Change the behavior of horses that are being led so they match the player's speed whether they're walking or sprinting. Fixed a bug causing horses to auto gallop, causing horses to die even if they're parked near a hitch and trough with food. That's a big one. They were dying overnight, even when they're indoors. Horses to float away and become unrideable when at a roadside junk pile. And we have a bug causing horses to get stuck under the terrain. That was a big one. It kind of tripped us out. You'd be walking around, you'd hear a horse neigh or whatever under the ground, and you're like, what? That was a big one. Fixed the visual bug causing horses not to directly eat from the hitch and trough. I think we just got that one right. Horses no longer lose momentum and stop when going on an incline after running downhill. Horses now have a more natural intended movement with turning. Did I miss one of these down here? Fixed the bug causing players to teleport through the terrain while the horse is riding and interacting with deployables and loot crates. That's a big one, because a lot of times when you're taking these horses out, you'll be doing like a gallop and a run, and then you'll be like turning and then dismounting to attack or to do looting. Here's an example here. So like if you're running up on a location, you'd be kind of jogging like this and then like dismounting. This is a very realistic scenario. And I gotta tell you, you really gotta watch out for barricades. Just a nice little tip for you out there in the wild: any barricades, even the small wooden ones, carry them with you at all times. Horses have a hard time doing tight turns. They're fast, but if they catch you like from behind you, they can move so fast, somebody can come up with you with a double barrel and just wax your cheeks. So keep a lookout. Okay, so on to the next big piece here. We have the number 2 section. Players now sit in front of them when mounting a horse with an empty double saddle. That's good, because when you're playing the horse saddle games in the safe zone and you're trying to run away, whether you're stealing a horse or they're stealing your horse, it can be a bit of a Benny Hill show, if you know what I'm talking about. Auto swim is now as quick as manual swim with swimming fins. That's a nice one. I think a lot of quality of life came in for the water for sure. I mean, just think about it. We can now do junk piles and not have to worry about floating junk piles and not have to worry about the sound popping. We can more consistently do things like cargo ship and oil rig without the sound completely crashing. We can live on the water without fear of the audio crashing when we dismount or enter the rowboats, right? Or even in the future, I don't know, things like submarines. What? Okay. Let's see. Bug causing auto sprint while swimming underwater to stop when the player presses the crouch button. Fixed a bug that causes FPS drops when hitting objects with bullets. That's nice. That's a good performance piece. I should have had that one underlined. A bug causing players to clip through the floor instead of crouching when being climbed on by another player. Ways that like the head peaks would come through. So that's just a nice around, you know, we don't want anybody kind of peeking in or out. Fixed a bug causing players to spawn at lakes or freshwater pools. Fixed a bug causing sleeping players to take damage and become affected by status effects, environmental hazards. Fixed a bug causing the player to walk through trees and not harvest them. That might be the invisible tree thing, I believe. And occasionally the red X will shift around, but it's a lot more strikeable now, for sure. Still a couple glitches on you know, the problematic trees, you know, like those weird shapes at the bottom, but for the most part it's pretty good, fairly consistent. Where are we? Bug causing players to take damage in status, walk through trees. A bug stopped auto sprint when opening inventory with a mission active. That's right, we have mission NPC mission givers. That's a huge thing. Yes, you can go around and get yourself a pumpy or even a jackhammer. It's fantastic. They are at the bandit camp. There will be some in the outpost in the future, but they're not currently. The ranches and the fishing village. The fishing village is the jackpot. The guy with the harpoon and the spear gun, he's the one that's going to give you the pump shotgun one, I think on mission 2. And yes, the harpoons and spears, or I should say harpoon spears, yes, there are now sharks that can attack you around some shipwrecks. So be on the lookout. They are very, very aggressive. It's a thing. And it's also a, it's not a default BP, but it's a level 1 BP. Players are no longer able to surf on fire projectiles. What? That was a thing? Let's see. Inventory active. It says fix a bug when down players float at mid-air after being downed a while. Heavy Scientist accuracy with M249 now matches the Steam version. I think they're a bit too aggressive, so things are dialed back just a scotch. Radiation buff ceases now to debuff. Ceases now when debuff disappears. Scientists can no longer walk through crates. Oh. Scientist projectiles now have collision with sleeping players, so, you know, get your wig split. Starvation and dehydration status now causes incremental damage, as it should. Next big piece here. Again, road signs, so good. Okay, just think about this for a second. You're out there smacking signs at the outpost. You can go put it in the recycler immediately for scrap, and then if you're close to the bandit camp, you can also swap that high quality for scrap as well. Yeah, just... You can get right into a wipe and just start hitting it left and right. Get those early hatchets, pickaxes, jackhammers, and scrap. It's so good. Okay, UI. Fixed a bug causing horse equipment to not show status in the crafting menu. A bug causing some menu UI to slow down. A bug causing the ammo count to not update when recycling or researching a loaded gun. That's good. Basically, we're not going to lose that ammo. Missing languages in the pause menu UI. Material deduction now showing when building a structure. Pumpkin and corn icons are now visible when planted. Renaming the bed now prompts with the correct text. Okay, so I know these are like basic patch notes, but we do have some sneaky things that kind of are in here and things that we've noticed. And obviously they're not saying for certain, but you know, being through all of the PC changes that have happened for Rust and knowing how the console version is coming along and kind of what's on the horizon, I think these are nice little tips of the old fedora to what's coming for us in the very near future. No official word from them, but here we go. All right. Horses now don't get stuck on the walkway at Bandit Camp. That's a big one just as far as mobility. Okay, this is a big one. Gambling table from Bandit Camp has been removed. They're still there. What they meant was the control surfaces for those games. Things like, well, the ones that were visible for us. It doesn't mean that they're not there. We had the poker table interaction pieces at each of the chairs. We also had the slot machines, spaces for those, and the caboose over at the outpost. There's a bit of space over there as well. So this is kind of like it was there and now they turned off those control surfaces, but those poker tables are still there at the Bandit Camp. So again, a hint to a future update? Question mark? Would be nice. I gotta tell you, it's just a nice, like, if we get like a small update before the year's out and we had something like that, that would be great. Because remember, our next big thing is going to be custom servers after horses. So don't forget that. As a matter of fact, custom servers and all that information, I've already done a video on that. I'll go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner. And I will also kick it up on the end screen later on when the video is complete. Okay, let's get over to this last piece here. I could talk about this for hours. Okay, fix the building haze around Bandit Camp at sunrise. These are more quality of life. Change the fog at Bandit Camp so it appears lighter at 12 p.m. Thank goodness. Those of us that have to turn up our brightness, it's it's basically like getting flashbanged, so it's really nice they dialed that back. A bug causing bandits to face all the same direction at the Bandit Camp. Nice. Reduced time for Gambling Wheel and Bandit Camp to dispense winnings. Fixed a bug causing players to teleport when auto-swimming in front of the cargo ship. Yeah, also don't get caught on the anchor. Camera flicker issue after player wakes up on the cargo ship. Fixed visual issue causing blocky background for fire particles at large oil rig. Laser sight no longer clips to the walls. No longer clips to the walls at the small oil rig. A bug causing blocky background fire particles at the large oil rig, and a bug allowing horses to walk down the end edge of a flame trench at the area of the launch site monument where they could get stuck, because there is a terrain cut into the surface. So that's very interesting. So, okay, fixed visual issues at the airfield, including the tower, wire, and the tunnel. So here's what's really interesting about the airfield. So along with this update, again, things they really didn't mention, we have a lot of monument shifts. We have additions, things that have been upgraded to the more current version now, things that include more scientists at some of the monuments, and some of them getting, let's call them concrete shoes or stilts. Things like the satellite dish is now elevated, and the configuration has been changed. It's a bit tighter. The road also rides closer to it. Vehicles? What? Who said that? So yeah, lots of little hints and tips there. You'll see a couple more of these too, and that kind of really hints towards that. Barrels no longer clip into the wall at the airfield monument. A bug causing crates to spawn stacked at the train yard. That's good that they cleaned this up. This is a big one here. Train yard blue card room now matches Steam. Okay, so Trainyard also has some scientists, and I believe the sewer branch does too. Don't quote me on that. I want to say it does, but I don't typically run sewer branch very often. Anyways, check this out. So the Trainyard blue keycard room has changed because we're in a hybrid version. There's the previous version, there's the version we have now, and then there's the Steam version. And the Steam version includes, you ready for this? The train monument puzzle that is going to have the ability to move the work carts or the train cars on the surface of the map. Yes, yes, it is. It's a thing. And you'll be able to do the puzzle there and then extract things from those carts that you'll see around the train system or the track system that's around the map. Now, we don't have those yet, but the fact that the train yard has this massive change to it, and it's almost like it made the change for the Steam version, but the area or the monument section where it actually interacts with the train itself is almost like either deleted or turned off. Does that make sense? So we can't see it. But I believe it's there because the exterior of the train yard, or the perimeter of the train yard, is showing indications for train tracks to be coming in and out. So I don't think that's going to be in the near future, but I think that is in our future at some point. Just seeing those changes there, which is also extremely exciting. Yeah, just like little things here, because it's definitely not like the old train yard for sure. Remove duplicate vending machines at the Outpost Monument. Again, another kind of tip to future things to come. Rust Plus, maybe? Question mark? We don't know. Footsteps can now be heard while walking at the base of the dome. Here's the other thing. So the dome did get a major change on the PC Steam version. We do not see that change to the dome monument yet. But there's huge hints to things like the subway system and also vehicles. So, you know, it's a thing. Fix the bug causing players to be looted through blue card room wall and the water treatment plant. Fixed a map generation bug that caused Sewer Branch Road, to float, and a bug caused players to move erratically while standing on top of a moving conveyor belt at the Quarry Monument. Cargo heli drop now drops crates more evenly to monuments across the map. Improved load times at monuments. That's good for all people. And this was a big one down here, this bright pink one here. Fixed an issue where crates spawned from cargo ship, but they weren't, and would float in the ocean from the initial spawn point. And they would just keep respawning, and people were really hitting that hard. To kind of go back to the dome here, I actually didn't hit the point So things are louder at the dome. So that means when you're at the cams, at the computer station, checking out the dome, you'll be able to hear those people rustling around a bit more. So if you're one of those peepers and creepers, that's good news for you. I know, lots of things, lots of things. Okay, so World Burlap head wrap now renders properly. Fixed a bug causing barrels to spawn in the middle of the roads. Fixed another bug causing code lock crates to spawn at the edge of platforms. Another one causing dead horses to turn invisible from a distance. Another bug being fixed causing nodes to spawn on unclimbable cliff terrain. That's just a cruel, cruel joke, and I'm glad they fixed it. Another bug being fixed causing players to mine metal fragments from the attack helicopter wreckage. And fixed a bug causing poor textures on tugboats. Now, this is a big one, but there's really no reason to touch those textures on the tugboats. And if you've been watching anything on PC, you kind of know what we're talking about here. I think this is early prototyping for them on tugboats to kind of see where they sit. I don't know where this sits on our timeline or if it's going to be a possibility. But when you see things like this on a prefab that literally has no changes since the game came out, and you see these little tweaks, if you can read between the lines, you're like, oh, you guys are prototyping that. So that's cool. So it's exciting to see that type of progress. Fixed another bug causing the chest on the rowboat to disappear from a distance. Fixed a bug causing trees to flash and turn invisible when a player hits it. And fixed another bug causing wood boards to become missing from floating junk piles. That's a good one. Fixed collision with triangle floor pieces. We'll have to see what that does for some of our bunkers. Haven't really had a chance to fully test that yet. We have fixed missing textures on the double door. Semi-automatic rifles can now once again be looted from supply drops. The berry outline now matches the world model. Wooden doorways now connect in a way that now matches the Steam version. I still have to really test that one. I think it might have implications for maybe wall skins later, but don't quote me on that. It's just kind of my gut instinct on that one. So the last piece here, we have fixed a bug that let players shoot through metal shop fronts. That's a big one. Fixed the 4x scope flashlight and laser sight so they are now visible when attached to weapons. Lanterns filled with fuel can no longer be picked up via the radial menu. So lots and lots of things here, even extra things that weren't even added to this list. Lots of little quality of life, just big time changes, feature changes. And let's not forget, even with all of this, the horses coming in, our next big piece is going to be the custom servers for this year, and we are mad excited for it. So hopefully we'll see you guys in the next live stream /video. And deuces, love you, bye.